Hi, welcome to PhotoshopLightroomTV, episode 26. I'm your host, Marek Mularczyk from sitetrain.co.uk, and I'm glad to see you here again. Another week, another fantastic episode of PhotoshopLightroomTV, the weekly video podcast about Photoshop, Lightroom, Adobe Bridge, and sometimes different applications as well. Okay, I've got loads of new tutorials, tips and tricks for you as well. I'm going to start with something that deals with all Adobe applications, not just Photoshop and Lightroom. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can update your software. Also, how you can check which version of the software you're running. This is a very common question. Very often people are not sure which version of the software they run. They say, well, you know, I'm running Photoshop CS5. Yes. But since the release of CS5, we've already had 3 updates for Windows, 2 updates for Mac. So the latest version of Photoshop CS5 is 12.0.3. With Lightroom, it's easier because if you run in Lightroom 3.3, you will see it on the welcome screen and you'll see it in your interface in the top left corner. So let me show you how you can check which version of the software you're running and how you can check for the updates and quickly install them. Okay, now the installation process is looks slightly different for Lightroom and for Creative Suite products. Okay, so let's have a look on that. Here I am inside Adobe Photoshop. This is Photoshop CS5, and the first thing I want to do is I want to check which version of Photoshop I'm running. Okay, so I'll go to Help menu. This applies to every Adobe software, and I'll go to About Photoshop. Okay, this will open a dialog box, a screen here, and I'm running 12.0.3 on 64-bit platform. So this is the latest version for Photoshop. Okay, now, how do I check if I'm running the latest version of Photoshop? Maybe not, you never know, and maybe there will be released some new update. To disable this window, I'm just going to click on it once again, and it's gone. Now I'll go to Help, and then the updates. Okay, this will open Adobe Updater, and this will check whether I'm running the latest version of Photoshop or if I have any additional updates available for download. So please download it. Is the Adobe Application Manager. This is the CS5 Manager, and it checks for updates to all my Adobe applications, basically because I'm running Adobe Creative Suite Master Collection. I was checking for them, and from what I see here, there's no Photoshop, which means there are no new updates to Photoshop. Just a few things while we're talking about updates here. I can select which application I want to update. I can also check the updates. For example, I'm using Flash very often, so I'm going to click on this triangle here to open it. Let's see what this is. Adobe Pixel Blender Toolkit Update, and this is for After Effects and Flash, so nothing really that important at this stage, so I'm going to close that. Also look at the Premiere CS5. I may want to update it. It updates support for NVIDIA card. It also shows me the download size, so if I want to update everything, this will be 800 megabytes, and I've got 101 gigabytes available hard drive space on my computer. Okay, if I want to update it, I'll just click Update, and Updater will take care of it. Otherwise, I'll just close that, and I can update it next time. Okay, now with Lightroom it's a bit easier. I'm just going to quickly launch Lightroom. Okay, because Lightroom shows me the version of the software. Now, yes, it does says here 3.3, so I can see straight away which version I'm running, 64-bit as well. Otherwise, I can do the same here. I can go to Help, and then About Adobe Photoshop Lightroom 3, and this will open this dialog box, and it says version 3.3 and Camera Raw 6.3. So that's how you check for updates using your Adobe software. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. That's how you quickly check which version of the software you're running and whether your software is up to date. This is a crucial thing, so you make sure your software is running up to date. All the updates are free. You don't pay for the updates. Okay, and Adobe is always working on fixing some bugs and some issues. For example, Photoshop 12.0.3 fixes loads of issues on Windows XP on Photoshop CS5. And there were lots of issues. We saw them on Adobe forums. Many people were complaining about some issues they had when they updated from 12.0.1 to 12.0.2. So Adobe quickly went, fixes all the issues, and quickly created a new update. Okay, now if you haven't seen my blog yet, have a look on that, PhotoshopLightroomBridge.co.uk. Lots of So in this video you can see how Lexa manufactures the memory cards and the USB drives. Very interesting video, make sure you watch that. Once again, it's PhotoshopLightroomBridge.co.uk. I've also have a very interesting post that I posted this Monday, yesterday, if you're watching it when it's airing, about backing up inside Adobe Photoshop Lightroom. And that's what I'm going to show you now. Backup in Adobe Photoshop Lightroom. So let's have a look on that. Here I am inside Lightroom. This is Lightroom 3. This applies to any version of Lightroom. I will talk about backup. A very important topic. If you want to find out more about backup, go to PhotoshopLightroomBridge.co.uk, and there's a post about backup. It was posted this Monday. It's called Backup. Now, first I want to set up the backup. So I'll go to Edit and Catalog Settings. Okay. This will open Catalog Settings dialog box. I'm in General tab, and in the bottom section it says Backup. Here you can define how often you want Lightroom to backup. Never, once a month, once a week, once a day, every time Lightroom exits, or when Lightroom exits. What's changed in Lightroom 3, this will be different if you're on Lightroom 2, is that now with Lightroom 3, Lightroom will back up your catalog when it exits. It used to ask you for a backup when you were starting the application. This is a great improvement, speed improvement, of course. Okay. So now when you're closing down Lightroom, when you're done with your work, you can create a backup. Now this backup is only creating a backup of your catalog. It doesn't back up your images. So you need to back them up as well. I hope you're doing it already. Okay. So for example, I can select, I'm using once a week when it's in Lightroom, or I can also use every time Lightroom exits. So next time I'm exit, I will ask about the backup. I'm just going to cancel that, and I'm going to close Lightroom. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and that's the window you see when the backup comes in place. So it says setting for catalog indicate it should be backed up once a week. I didn't back it up this week yet. That's the backup folder. In Documents, Lightroom Downloads. Okay. I can also test integrity, very important, so it checks the integrity of the catalog, and I can optimize it so it runs without errors. So I can back it up, or I can skip it this time, or I can skip it until next week. Okay. Because I backed it up last week, I'm going to skip it this time, and I'm going to do it next time when I use Lightroom. So just click on that and skip that. Okay. That's how you manage your backups within Lightroom. That's how you make sure you back up inside Lightroom. I hope you enjoyed it. Now it's time for Photoshop tutorial. Photoshop Lightroom TV wouldn't be Photoshop Lightroom TV without tutorials about Photoshop. Master of all trades. Okay, this time we'll talk about this place map. If you've never heard about it, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you what it does. Very interesting feature within Photoshop. Creates really interesting effects. Okay, so let's jump into Photoshop, and then we'll have our tip of the week, and then we'll finish our weekly podcast. So let's have a look on Photoshop now and this place mask. Okay, so here I am inside Photoshop, and I'll show you how to create an interesting effect by using this wrinkled paper image and this image here to put it on that and blend it nicely using this place map. I'm going to start with this image here, and first I want to turn it into black and white because this place masks work with black and white and look into black and white levels within the image. So I'll go to Image Adjustments and then just Saturate. Then I'll go to Levels to bring more contrast to the image. I have more blacks, more whites. Okay, good. I just press OK. Now I'm going to save it as a map. File Save As. The important step here is you need to save it as a PSD file. So I'm going to save it as a map. Okay, PSD file. And I want to go back to the original. So I'll go to Edit, step backwards twice. The important thing here is make sure that both images are more or less the same size or the resolution. So this image is 800 pixels wide. for that. And this image here is also 800 pixels wide. Now I'm going to take this image here, I'm going to select it, select all, and then edit, copy, and now I'm going to paste it here. Edit, paste. I'll make it slightly bigger so it fits nicely on the paper. Okay, this looks good. And with this layer selected, I'll go to Filter, Distort, Displace. I'm going to use the settings of about 25 pixels, leave the settings on the defaults, displace map stretch to fit, and undefine areas to repeat edge pixels. Press OK, and now you'll be prompted to select the displace map you've created. So this black and white image. So I'll click open, and now this will move the pixels. Now this doesn't look interesting yet, but we're going to blend it. So I'll go to the blend modes here, and I'll apply, for example, an overlay blend mode. So it looks like very interesting effect with this photographer on the paper. Very interesting effect, very easy to achieve within Photoshop. This was Photoshop, and we're really close to the end of our show, I'm afraid. Now here's the tip of the week. I kept it to the end. This tip of the week is Photoshop, also Lightroom, any other Adobe software really. The tip of the week is about getting help. So if you're stuck somewhere, you're having some troubles, maybe you found an option that you don't really know what it does, you can go to Help menu in every Adobe application and then select Help. Okay? This opens a Adobe Community Help in its own window and runs on Adobe. And that's where you can find all the help from the community. So it's not just the help as a PDF that you normally get with the software, but it's also community help. So you find links to videos and articles, tutorials, a fantastic feature that we can find out more about certain options within Photoshop or Lightroom or Bridge. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. I'm Marek Mularczyk from sidetraining.co.uk, for one of the UK's leading specialists in Adobe Certified training, sidetraining.co.uk. And this was episode 26 of Photoshop Lightroom TV. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week in episode 27. Thank you very much. Bye bye.